Hi guys, my name is Ben Withy and this is my channel. Welcome to my channel. I created it not too long ago. So basically in this video I just want to kind of go through my story, my martial arts journey up until this point, because hopefully I'm looking to upload videos on this channel for a long time. I'm hoping to upload a lot of content, especially this year, and yeah, I just wanted to walk you through my journey. So basically, I was quite a mischievous kid when I was in primary school. I had a lot of energy, what would now be called ADHD or something like this. Back then, they didn't really have or know what ADHD was, but I'm pretty sure I had it. So I had a lot of energy and took that energy into secondary school, especially the first couple of years. It didn't always get me in trouble, but I was just very, very energetic. And basically, what I was looking for is something to put that energy into. Like a lot of kids nowadays, they don't really have a path to go down, okay, or at least they don't have that path clarified in their own head. They've got the energy and the motivation and the interest a lot of the times, but they kind of need someone to point them in the right direction. And basically one day I got a letter in the post, or my parents got a letter in the post, and it was a newsletter from the school, the secondary school that I was attending. And on that newsletter, there was a little box with after school activities that students can enroll in. And one of the activities was boxing. And I said to my mum, can I do it? It looks like fun, looks a little bit dangerous. And I've kind of always been interested in dangerous things a little bit, trying to be action man sort of thing. And she was very hesitant at the start because obviously boxing is very dangerous. And nowadays, people know about brain damage from full contact sparring. But obviously I was like 12, 13. I wasn't going to be doing heavy sparring, at least at that point. And she said, yeah, why not? My mum always encouraged me to do or pursue anything that I had interest in, even if it, resulted in her giving up some of her time or money, which it later did in the future, which I can explain later on in this video. And basically, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life was finding martial arts. I instantly fell in love with it. The instructor was very, he looked quite intimidating. The gentleman was called Alan Carter. And he's coached multiple world champions in the kickboxing field. He's last time I checked, and last time I trained under him, he was a third-degree black belt in American kickboxing, and then he also held a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo, which I later found out. But basically, he was teaching at that secondary school, and as I said, I fell in love with it instantly. Okay, he was able to motivate me. Not that I needed that much motivation, but he, maybe motivation is the wrong word. He inspired me, And basically, I kept on training. Whenever there was a class after school, I would go to it. Okay, it started off with one a week, and then eventually went to 2 times a week, and I did that, and I carried on training for about 2 years, and eventually, he invited me to his kickboxing academy, which was about 20 minutes drive away, something like that, and I instantly said yes. Okay, I fell in love with boxing, and now I wanted to take it to the next level, okay? And obviously the boxing club was a little bit, maybe informal was the wrong word, but it was just like PE kit. It was very much I saw it as a school activity or an after school activity, which is what it was. But then I got invited to the kickboxing academy. It was like a dojo, where everyone wears a specific uniform, a club uniform, and you have all the belts from white all the way through to black belt. Okay. So I started training there, and again, my passion just grew and grew and grew. Okay, start off with white belt, trained for about I don't know, 6 months, 9 months, something like this, and got invited to my first grading. And most people, they do, you go from one bout to the next bout, just a single bout up, and then you do another bout up after that with the next grading, and then it just goes all the way up like this. However, I had quite a lot of experience with boxing, having done it for the previous 2 years, and I actually skipped a few grades, okay, because I was working my butt off. I was really focused. If this instructor asked me to do 20 press-ups, I'd make sure I do every single one, okay, and basically everything was done to the best of my ability, which is a very good mindset in the martial arts world and just in life in general. So yeah, I kind of progressed through the ranks. Okay, I skipped a couple just because of my experience, and obviously my enthusiasm is getting greater and greater and greater. And looking back, I really enjoyed going through the bout system. Okay, there was always something objective to look forward to. Okay, because as you probably know, some days you don't feel like training. Maybe school at that time could be quite draining. I didn't enjoy school that much. I didn't really find it too. I didn't see the use of it later in life. So basically, the good thing about the bout system is it always gives you something to aspire to. Okay, you always have a goal in front of you. So I was really enjoying training. We did kickboxing, so you have punches, you have elbows, or at least in the type of kickboxing that I was learning, which is more American. So punches, elbows, you got a couple knee strikes in there, and then various types of kicks, front kicks, side kicks, round house kicks, crescent kicks, axe kicks, back kicks, and then as you go up the ranks, you start to increase the difficulty of the kick, maybe a jumping front kick, maybe a jumping side kick, and then you can go up to jump spinning roundhouse kick, or step through spinning back kick, or spinning hook kick into jump spinning hook kick. And the club had a curriculum, it had a syllabus. So basically, day one, I basically looked through that whole syllabus, and I tried to do as many of the techniques as I could. And I eventually, later on down the line, pretty much memorized that whole syllabus. And later on in this video, I explain about how I started my own club, my own martial arts club, where I had to write my own syllabus. So where are we now? I'm probably about, 15, 16. And I basically decide in my head that I want to pursue martial arts, and I want to pursue the career of fighting, of competing, which I continue to strive for now. So yeah, 15, 16, as I get older, the sparring becomes more intense, as it naturally does. When I was younger, 13, 14, 15, 16, I would spar, but it was what's called point stop, which is basically when you have all the pads, all the hand pads, shin pads, foot pads, and a head guard with a gum shield, and a groin guard if you're a guy. And basically, your goal would be to make contact, okay? Not with the arms didn't score, and the legs didn't score, but the torso and the head did. So basically, your goal was to achieve a point on the scoring zones, okay? And the good thing about that, it was obviously low contact, okay? And I'm not joking, it was probably one of the funnest things that a child can do, especially if they like contact sport. For example, boxing, kickboxing, ice hockey, rugby, whatever it is. It's super, super fun. Kids have got a lot of energy, and it allows them to completely, empty their energy tank, which is, pretty good for parents as well. So yeah, point stop, and obviously, if you score a more difficult kick, like a head kick, is 2 points, and then maybe a jumping head kick would be 3 points. Okay. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. I advise any parent to take their child to a martial arts club for discipline and focus and just general fitness and discipline. And then especially if you can find a kickboxing club or boxing club as well, okay? It doesn't really matter what martial art it is too much when they're younger, as long as they get on the mat. As long as they're on the mat, they're having fun, there's not much that can go wrong, okay, in the grand scheme of things. Now, if you do find your child gravitates to it and they are really enjoying it, well, then maybe you might want to look into, you know, a more serious club or a more not integrated, but, you know, a larger club with more students, more instructors, where they have more availability for like private lessons and things of that nature. Cool. So basically now I'm about 17 and we not only do point stop sparring, we do continuous sparring, which for those that don't know is what you see on TV. You know, with boxing you have a round and there's, you know, continuous contact being made unless the referee steps in, okay? And you obviously have multiple rounds, and that's what we were doing, like full contact sparring, yes, with a head guard and a gum shield, but I remember some of those rounds were absolutely brutal, okay? I'm a really small guy, not just small, but like tiny, okay? And I'm still proud of the fact that I kind of held my own, okay? Because like all the kids were bigger than me, obviously most people are, but it doesn't necessarily mean they win all the time, okay? A lot of it comes down to like mental toughness and mental resilience, the ability to get back up when you've been knocked over, or in this situation maybe kicked hard or punched hard, whatever it is. Even if your training partner is bigger and stronger than you, doesn't mean they're going to win, okay? The vast majority of my of the time from my martial arts experience, which is about 14 years at this point, the winner is based on technique far more than physical attributes, okay? Now with kickboxing and boxing or any striking based martial art, taekwondo, karate, etc., physical attributes do play more of a role, okay? If you're taller, have longer legs, have longer reach advantage, can simply punch harder and kick harder, then yeah, it does help a lot. But ultimately, the people that do successful in martial arts are people that don't give up and people that continually strive to improve their technique, their strategy, on top of their existing physical attributes. Their physical attributes being, you know, their height, and you know their natural body weight, as well as, you know, power, speed, strength, cardiovascular, endurance, etc. So if you are a smaller student, don't give up by any means. Keep on going, and you'll be amazed at the amount of success you will have down the line. Okay. As I say, I'm quite a small guy, so hopefully the content that I produce on this channel will be will really benefit smaller athletes, okay, whether you're male or female, okay? And obviously a lot of it can be adapted for larger guys. A lot of it comes down to technique, regardless of how tall you are. But I would love to help some of the smaller guys in the jiu-jitsu community or the martial arts community. Cool. So about 17, 18 at this point. Basically, I left secondary school and I wasn't really ready to go into the wider world yet, so I decided to do A-levels. And there's a stupid rule in the UK that says you have to do a minimum of 4 A-levels for your first year. You have year 12 and you have year 13. For year 12, you have to do a minimum of 4 A-levels. Okay, well, it's 4 out of 4. You had to do all 4, and basically it turned out to be a problem. Okay, I wanted to do two, definitely, which was sport, BTEC sport, and business studies. Definitely wanted to do those two, and my goal was just to spend the rest of the time training, and building a business using the knowledge that I gained in these two categories, sport and business. However, as I said, you've got to do a minimum of 4, okay? So a lot of my training time, or potential training time, was spent doing A-levels. I ended up doing very well in A-levels. I got distinctions or like A-star equivalents in BTEC, sport, and business. The other two I didn't do that well on, just because they weren't that much of a priority, and one of the teachers was an absolute nightmare. He kept on swearing in the class, and not just like once or twice, one off. It'd be like 20-30 times in a lesson, and I ended up falling out of it. Anyway, that's a story for another time. Where was I? So yeah, although I did well in the A-levels in year 12 and 13, I was quite drained, because what I was doing was doing schoolwork and then going straight into training in the evenings. And at that point, I was training multiple classes back to back, sometimes up to 3 classes back to back, maybe 4 on a couple of days. I also started teaching at this point. I started not only helping out in classes, which I did when I was back in the kickboxing club, but I actually started covering classes, and that's when I started to gain income from martial arts, which is a great thing. Where am I? So basically I was doing schoolwork 5 days a week. Although I had 3 periods, like you get in A-levels, I was spending that working, because what I didn't have is the luxury of being able to do my homework or schoolwork in the evenings like some kids have. Okay, obviously some kids get like a part-time job or go out with their friends or something like that. But because I was training so much, 4, 5, 6 days a week, most weeks, basically I didn't have any spare time. On the weekend or the Sunday, I was, when I had no school and no training, I was absolutely shattered. When I was training multiple hours back to back at a very high intensity. I'd finish the class absolutely dripping with sweat, like truly like dripping. Just imagine coming out of a shower and just absolutely soaked. Okay, and I'd basically towel myself off, then bang, jump straight into the next class and do that back to back, as well as sparring, full contact sparring. So yeah, at this point I'm like 18, 19. Finally, I finish A-levels, and basically in BTEC business, one of the assignments was to create a business plan for a potential business that you could start down the line, or someone you could use if they started a business. And basically, I created a business plan for a kickboxing school. Okay, and basically, as soon when I left school, I put that business plan into action. I found a dojo with the help of my instructor and one of his close students. I did a little deal with my instructor where he would give me, mentorship or tuition and guidance, and it was great. It was great to have the potential to do something that you love for a job. You truly feel blessed. And basically, at that point, it was just aimed towards kids. Okay, I started up the kickboxing club, what was called Benjamin Withy's Martial Arts, and we covered kickboxing as well as general fitness, self-defense, pad work, and stuff like that. And prior to the grand opening, I sent out a load of flyers. It was like 10,000 flyers around the local area, and the place that I chose to teach in was literally right next to a school. Okay, so all of the students in the school found out about it. Okay, straight after school, bang, they would go straight to the club. Okay, I put the time of the lesson straight after the club. And my first day, I had like 35 students. Okay, which is uncommon for a martial arts club, especially when you got like a 19-year-old instructor who's like tiny. You know, I look like I do now, very unintimidating. But anyway, yeah, 35 students, and it was great. And teaching kids is very rewarding as well. Obviously, they're super cute, and you feel like you're giving back to the community, and you're giving back to the martial arts world. However, unfortunately, due to my lack of experience in the business world and just real life in general, you know, not school life, the business eventually failed, is what it is. You know, I take full responsibility for it. It was my fault. It's just lack of business experience, lack of connections. Again, when you're straight out of school, you don't really have that many contacts, okay? Or people don't take you that seriously. But, you know, I learned a lot from it, and I'm proud that I did it. And at this point, I carry on training with Alan Carter, okay? And I'd like to take this opportunity to just, you know, say thank you to the other students and the other instructors that I trained with. Mason Carter, which is Alan Carter's son. Big guy named Frank, a lot of potential. Two brothers called Raymond and Billy Dean, and Jamie, sorry, three brothers. Raymond, Billy Dean, and Jamie. Great athletes, absolutely savage on the mat, okay? I feel sorry for anybody that had to spar them. You know, those guys have got a lot of potential. I don't know if they're still training now, but I hope they are, and they can go a long way, okay? And loads of other names, you know, too many to count or name right now. I had some great workouts and some great experiences at that club. And eventually I wanted to go out and do my own thing, or basically change what I was doing. So I go from learning under Alan Carter to learning under a gentleman named Ben Tippin, who is my current instructor at the moment. When I was about 16 or 17, I saw a video of Rener and Rener Gracie, who teach an academy in Los Angeles. They teach a martial art called Gracie Jiu-jitsu. And basically, as soon as I saw that, you know, one of their videos online, I was instantly motivated to learn that martial art. I just knew that it was instinctually effective, okay? They weren't using strength or power or speed or size to overcome their opponent. They were using an incredible amount of technique. And basically their whole fight strategy was to take their opponent onto the ground, okay? Which most martial arts don't cover. They don't cover ground techniques, okay? Let alone how to defend yourself when you're in an inferior position, okay? Not only on the ground, but on the bottom of the fight, okay? So yeah, their strategy was to take their opponent to the ground. Why do that? Well, because taking your opponent to the ground basically neutralizes some of the size and strength advantage that your bad guy has over you. Not all, you know, not completely. If they're 6'2" and you're 5'8", it doesn't completely neutralize it, but it makes it a little bit easier, okay? And when you're on the top of the fight on the ground, okay, it's easy to wear your opponent out, okay? A, because you have gravity on your side, and B, because there's less chaos, okay, on the ground. When you're standing, both people have a lot of movement, okay? If you try and engage with them, they can simply step back, they can move around you, they can do all sorts of things, okay? When you're on the ground, you're basically pinning someone to the floor, okay? You're using your body weight and your limbs to pin them onto the ground. And the same applies when you're sparring up against a wall or a fence or cage or whatever it is. So basically, that's one of the major differences between a grappling martial art, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, aka Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and or wrestling, and a traditional striking martial art, boxing, kickboxing, K1, Muay Thai, etc. Okay. So yeah, when I was like 16, 17, I saw Rener Gracie teach this Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, I'd never heard of it before, but I saw it and I was like, yes, one day I want to not only learn that, but teach that. Okay. So when I'm about 21, I start researching CTCs. Basically, a CTC is a certified training center. Okay, as I said earlier, Rener Gracie have a dojo, an academy in Los Angeles, and basically they qualify instructors to teach at their own schools and around the world. At this point, they have about 250 CTCs, certified training centers, around the world. And I was looking for all the CTCs in the UK, which is where I live, and there was about 6. Okay. However, I only had about 2 days of holiday at my work, basically because the kickboxing club failed. I had to get a job. Okay, and I only had like 2 days holiday for the rest of that year. So I decided to scramble and use those 2 days holiday to visit one of the CTCs. I would have ideally visited more, but as I said, I only had 2 days. I believe I got the train down to Watford, which is on the outskirts of London. Booked a hotel, and then basically all I had time for was like 2 classes, one on like a Friday evening and then one on a Saturday morning, and then I had to head back home, and then I was at work the next day. But luckily I really enjoyed it. Okay, the class was structured very, very, very well, incredibly well. Okay, the gym was absolutely spotless, and it still is. The tuition is top notch. You really feel cared for, and you really feel part of the family when you go into that club. And from my experience, the experience is the same for every CTC that I've been to. Okay, basically, if you've been training martial arts for a while, especially like competitive clubs, there's a little bit of a kill or be killed attitude, you know, who's the alpha male. But at this club, it was a bit more friendly. I don't really mind if it's kill or be killed, but it was kind of a breath of fresh air, you know, having a club that was so welcoming and so professional. Okay, most dojos, most martial arts clubs aren't really run that well. Okay, there's not a lot of structure to it. The instructor's often, you know, turning up late or hasn't planned the class correctly. Often there's, you know, really bad contracts involved, you know, training contracts involved with a lot of clubs that are very hard to get out of. And usually you end up having a massive argument with the head coach or the admin, or the receptionist, whatever it is. But basically, I didn't feel any of that when I went to the Watford CTC. And one of my goals was not only to earn my blue belt, but one of my goals was eventually to become qualified as an instructor. And I was able to do that. About a year into my training, sorry, not a year, it was way before that actually. It was about 3 months into my training. I was able to pass the combatives test, okay, which basically allows you to go into the advanced curriculum. And I was also able to apply for the ICP, which means the Instructor Certification Program. Okay, basically qualifies or gives a person the opportunity to qualify to teach Gracie Jiu-Jitsu as long as they pass the test. Now the thing is, the test is not easy. Okay, you have to pass the combatives videos with a very high score. Okay, to pass it normally for a normal student, you have to get 90 out of 100. Okay, so 10 possible deductions and still pass. If you want to pass it as an instructor or to go on to be an instructor, you need 95. Okay, and neither of those are easy, especially the 95. excuse me, especially the 95 one. But I managed to do it. And from there, you basically record videos of why you want to be an instructor, why you think you're suited to it, and you do a couple technical videos as well, you know, demonstrating you teach them one of the techniques. And there's a couple of other videos as well. I'd have to double check, you know, it's been a while since I did it. And basically, if you pass that, you get invited to Los Angeles, which I was, okay? I went there with a couple other instructors and friends. We all passed. It's a very hard course to pass. It's the most difficult martial arts curriculum that I've, the most difficult martial art course that I've ever done before. But as I said, I passed, okay? When I came back, I started teaching, but unfortunately, the coronavirus, COVID-19, bug hit, so basically the club had to close for a year. During that year, I was still able to help out the club with Ben Tippin, and that actually helped me a lot. I was able to improve my technique a significant amount. And we're kind of getting close to present day, so COVID's pretty much over now. I'm a certified instructor. I've not only got my blue belt, which was one of my goals, you know, one of my goals when going into London or Watford, but I've also got my purple belt, which is a very difficult belt to get if you know anything about jiu-jitsu or train jiu-jitsu. Most people quit way before they get to purple belt, way before, okay? The majority can't even get the first belt after white, which is blue or white and blue if you're under the Gracie University banner. Okay, for most Brazilian jiu-jitsu sport clubs, you go from white into blue into purple. But Gracie University, Rener and Heron have got like a buffer belt, which is white and then white and blue and then blue. Okay, and I've also been able to achieve my instructor bars, which basically shows that I've passed more than 10 students through the Gracie Combatives curriculum, and I've also passed BBS 2. In order to teach the advanced curriculum, you need BBS 1, Blue Belt Stripe 1, which is about 200 individual techniques, roughly, okay, 150 to 200. And I've not only passed BBS 1, I've passed BBS 2, and I've actually passed BBS, I'm in the process of passing BBS 3 at the moment. And yeah, we're kind of at present day right now. So my goal is to basically provide as much content as I can. If you have any questions for me, I'd love to hear them. I'll do my best to answer them. And I'm basically going to put a variety of content out, you know, mainly jiu-jitsu, Gracie jiu-jitsu stuff, seeing as that's what I'm doing full time at the moment. But I'm probably going to get around to, striking as well with the help of other instructors. And hopefully you'll get to know me a little bit more and students at the club a little bit more. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop me a like, and I hope you're doing well. Cheers, bye.